Good evening and welcome back to Canton Confidential, the Karen Read murder trial. I'm Glenn Jones. Well, we made it to the end of week one. So far, we've seen 3 days of jury selection. That got us 12 jurors, dozens of dismissals, and another thick stack of motions filed in court. If you're just joining our special coverage of the case, let's get you caught up. Karen Read has pleaded not guilty to second-degree murder, motor vehicle manslaughter, and leaving the scene of a collision causing death. The Commonwealth says she hit and killed her Boston police officer boyfriend, John O'Keefe, with her car back in 2022. But the details of the case have painted a far murkier picture. One of those details casting a cloud. The MSP trooper and former lead investigator on O'Keefe's murder is now under investigation himself. More on that later. But first, NBC 10's John Maroney has a breakdown of week one and a closer look at the motions filed.
Given the publicity and the media surrounding it, I actually think 4 on the first day was pretty good.
There have been worries about picking jurors and getting an impartial jury. It's certainly nothing like the one in New York City involving former President Trump, but Karen Read's trial in Dedham is getting plenty of attention. Even so, 12 jurors have been selected so far. Takeaway number one, the selection process seems to be working, and a jury should be in place next week.
I'm here, number one, protecting my First Amendment rights. I'm here supporting Karen Read, and I'm looking for justice for John O'Keefe.
The first day of the trial attracted dozens of Read supporters, all of them kept back by a 200-foot buffer zone, which the state's highest court has been asked to review. During these initial days, the number of supporters seems to be less each day, all of them obeying the court-ordered restrictions. Takeaway number two, initial worries about people outside the courtroom influencing the trial seem to be unfounded so far.
Karen Read is, the defendant in this case, and she's entitled to a fair and impartial jury, and they should hear all of the evidence.
Judge Beverly Cannoni has told jurors the trial will be lengthy, and both sides have identified more than 160 potential witnesses. The prosecution is still waiting for answers about admitting important blood and DNA evidence. And while Read's attorneys have been allowed to present a third-party culprit defense, there will be restrictions. Takeaway number three, will the 6 to 8 week timeline actually hold up?
A lot of that will depend on whether the government is successful in getting all of their key evidence in. And if not, then we have a much shorter trial.
In a new development, the defense wants jury seating changed, saying their client's constitutional rights to confront witnesses face-to-face is jeopardized because of poor sight lines. They claim at least 6 jurors will only see the back of a witness's head. NBC 10 legal analyst Michael Coyne says Read's attorneys have a point.
There are some problems if the jurors cannot see the witness as the witness is undergoing the direct cross-examination.
Things to look forward to next week, the end of jury selection and the beginning of testimony. In the newsroom, John Maroney, NBC 10 Boston.
Back here in the studio now, I'm joined by Sue O'Connell once again, who has been in the courtroom for all 3 days of jury selection. We're going to talk a little bit more about the jury box because that became a pretty hot issue today.
Yes, it did.
Here's a look at the courtroom photos included in the paperwork from the defense. If you're listening on our podcast, we've put these images on our website. You can see here that nearly half of the jury would not have a direct view of the witness's face during testimony. So, Sue, this does seem like a good point to me from a layman perspective. What's the deal here?
Absolutely. So there's an old story about a granddaughter who invited her grandmother for dinner and served her a roast, and the roast had the ends cut off. And she said, "Why do you have the ends cut off?" And the granddaughter said, "This is your recipe, Grandma. This is how we've always made it." And she said, "Well, I cut the ends off because I didn't have a pot big enough. We don't do things like this all the time."
You improve.
And we have had this courtroom for 100 years at least. Sacco and Vanetti were in there. And I'm sure people have complained about the fact that some of the jurors absolutely cannot see the face of the witness. And as Michael Coyne points out, how do you know if they're telling the truth? You look at their face, you look in their eyes and do all that. So I honestly think this is just a fresh view from a California lawyer who came in and said, why are you people in Massachusetts putting up with this? And, of course, he's defending his client as he's supposed to. But this opens a whole host of issues.
Yeah,
here.
I guess it does. Let's talk about one of them, because the chatter has been to remedy this. Perhaps you have the witness turn their body when answering questions, but when you do so, you're turning away from the defendant, who no longer can see what's going on.
Right, and you're asking a witness to do a performance, right, which is very difficult. You're up on the witness stand. There are going to be regular people who are up there, and they're then asking them to, do this very traumatic conversation you're having and this very stressful thing, and then turn, and look to you. And it's strange. It's also like, what happens to prior cases? Let's say that they decide, yes, this has been unconstitutional. What about all the other cases that have happened in there? Or if it doesn't get decided, I'm not a legal expert here, but it certainly looks like an appeal option.
Right, it certainly does. Okay, so next week we expect to have a jury sat. Do you think that happens on Monday?
I don't. Well, it depends. It depends on what the size of the jury pool is. I'm told by experts that the beginning of the week you get a lot, and then it trails off as you go through. So I think if we get 90 potential jurors on Monday, there's a good chance that we'll have the jury seated.
Okay, that means you're back in there.
I'll be back there Monday
on the hard
morning.
benches. Sorry about that.
Follow me on the benches are not good.
No. The defense tried unsuccessfully to get this case dismissed, partly because they believed the lead state police investigator had a personal relationship with witnesses in this case, and he didn't disclose it. Trooper Michael Proctor continues his assignment with the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office, but he's under a microscope now that an internal investigation is underway. In the early days of the investigation, State Trooper Michael Proctor was responsible for interviewing witnesses, especially the people inside the home of Boston police officer Brian Albert at 34 Fairview Road in Canton. John O'Keefe's body was found in the snow outside this address. In pretrial motions, the defense argued Trooper Proctor did not interview Brian Albert until 6 months after O'Keefe's death in July, even though he's the home's owner, and was hosting after-hour guests on the night of January 28th. The defense also accuses Trooper Proctor of not disclosing his personal relationship with the Alberts.
That's the same Michael Proctor who's also years-long close family friends with the Alberts. The Proctors have called the Alberts their, quote, second family. And to that point, now we have benefit of some hindsight, and that's the federal investigation. We have been saying since September 16th, 2022, in lengthy motions that we filed before this court and filed with the Commonwealth, there is a conflict. You're not investigating the conflict. That conflict was never described to the grand jurors.
The specifics of the federal investigation are unknown, but we know Trooper Proctor is the subject of a state police internal investigation, and the NBC 10 investigators have learned that internal review is related to the Karen Reed case. Todd McGee is joining the conversation here on Canton Confidential now. He's a former Massachusetts state trooper with more than 20 years experience and can help put some context around all of this. Good evening. It's good to have you in here.
Thanks for having me, Glenn.
All right, well, let's start about interviewing witnesses as an investigator. In this case, the defense says that the lead investigator waited 6 months until he interviewed a key witness. That seems odd to me. Is it to you?
Well, we have to really remember that the burden of proof is on the state. And the Commonwealth is going to have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that all of the evidence that's brought forward is compelling enough to get a guilty verdict. That being said, when information is held back or if there's an improper investigation, not disclosing relationships, all these things are going to tend to water down the prosecution's position, and that then is going to help Karen Reed's attorney on defense to help strengthen that sense of reasonable doubt.
If we extract this scenario from this specific case, when there is law enforcement who is a witness to a crime, should that factor into how and when you interview that person?
Absolutely not. If a witness is a witness, regardless of their vocation, if they are privy to the actual incident, if they're a bystander, a witness, if they're involved in any capacity, they should be on that list of witnesses to be interviewed within that 24 to 48-hour window of time is valuable because information's fresh. Memories are much more intact. To interview anyone down the line months later, 6 months later, that again starts to erode the credibility, potentially, of the prosecution in this case.
So in this case, Trooper Proctor is still assigned to the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office. He's still working on cases. Is that appropriate and normal until the outcome of the internal investigation is known?
Yes, because there's no allegations against him, although this is a serious issue that's being investigated and something that is going to be warranted by internal affairs. His day-to-day activities on other cases should not have any bearing on other cases that he's working on currently.
I'm curious, in the 20 years that you were a state trooper, you saw a lot of murder cases go to trial. Have you ever seen a scenario where there is a parallel federal investigation into the agencies that are prosecuting the murder trial at the same time that the trial is going on?
It's rare, but we have to understand that in my cases where I've been a subject matter expert, either in deposition or in front of a judge and jury, I think what's really going to tell the story here is the evidence. Evidence from the vehicle, from the actual black box of the vehicle, that would show acceleration in going in reverse where the damage of the vehicle is shown, as well as not just the tail lens glass found on Officer O'Keefe's body, but also that black box is going to determine. The second issue that's really going to be intriguing is the medical reports. The medical reports always tell the truth as far as to what transpired. And as a reconstructionist, if you work back the scenario, reverse engineer it, there should be other damage on Officer O'Keefe's body if they look at in the autopsy, not just a head injury. So either way, whatever information on the body is there is going to tell the story and provide support on either side of this case.
I think you're telling a cautionary tale that we need to be careful with cover-up conspiracies until we've heard the evidence.
We need to be careful on all of those aspects, but again, the information is there, and the information in the form of the evidence tells the story.
All right, Tom McGee, thanks. This is valuable insight. Next week, we find out if the jury will be allowed to hear about the Trooper Proctor internal investigation. Also next week, jury selection resumes. We need 4 more before opening statements can begin. And at the end of each day, we'll have a complete recap of what played out in court with a closer look at the big moments right here on NBC 10 Boston News at 7. You can also catch up on earlier editions of Canton Confidential on our website. There, you'll find full episodes as well as a link to our podcast. Before we go to break, and as we continue to cover this trial, it's important we remember the life that was lost. Boston police officer John O'Keefe, a 16-year veteran of the force and full-time guardian for his young niece and nephew. O'Keefe was 46 years old.